Hello, folks. How we doing? It's another episode of Conroy Talks in the Football Podcast. Apologies, we're late. I had some very bad Wi-Fi issues there. The guys were sitting in the StreamYard chat for genuinely about 20 minutes waiting for me to come in. So apologies for that. I don't know what's happening with the Wi-Fi. I was in a stream last night and it cut out like 5 times. So if that does happen, the guys are there and Finn can take the lead on the questions. But yeah, today just going to have a bit of chat about general football stuff that's happened. Lots of interesting things. So how are you guys doing? Is all right?
Yeah, good.
Yeah, not bad.
Living the dream.
Yeah, well, one of them. I don't know about that, but it's been an interesting few weeks, and we've had a chat backstage there. It was probably a debate, but we'll start with that then. We'll start with the ins and outs of what's happened today, and then we'll kind of finish on the Liverpool thing. So, firstly, guys, I just wanted to chat about. Initially, you've got Eddie Howe and Steven Gerrard in the first games today at 3 p.m. One being with Villa, and Howe, unfortunately, he's got COVID, isn't he? So he'll be at home. So I don't know if they're going to be communicating through anything like that. But I just wanted to get first, Finn, your thoughts on it. What's your thoughts on Gerrard's move initially, and just how do you think he'll get on there?
I think the foundations in the front office or the hierarchy, it's already in place, as we was just briefly discussing. Christian Purslow has got a very, very good relationship with Steven Gerrard, chief executive of Aston Villa. Both worked with each other under the Hicks and Gillett era until he was rudely kicked out of the club. So then they could kind of preserve their chairmanship status. So I think it's good that he's kind of coupling back together with him. Obviously, they've had some meetings, they've sat down, and I think they really do want to keep him on board for at least 3 years minimum to kind of mold a team around his kind of philosophy now, as we've seen what he's done at Rangers, especially. Obviously, he's created that winning mentality. He's brought over all of his staff as well. Big Gary's come over with him as well. So that should be really good. I'm really looking forward to it as well, because obviously he does have he's got a big status in football. And yes, hasn't got a wealth of managerial experience, but what he will bring to Aston Villa is that drive, that unity. And I just feel like that new bounce as well. Obviously, Dean Smith lost 5 on the bounce before he was sent packing. So it's interesting. I think there could be a new manager bounce today. Obviously, it's really interesting to see his team selection come out about 2:00. So yeah, really, really excited for that. Obviously, us four here, we all idolise Steven Gerrard. He's done a lot for our club. So we'll all be looking on fondly at that game tonight.
Sorry, guys, didn't realise I was there. Absolutely, I think that's. Do you agree with that? Saif, I meant to add, how's your thoughts on it? This is your first time on the channel, so congratulations for coming on.
Yeah.
Thanks. I know you've been on a streaming ages.
I didn't even realise.
Yeah, I know. So what's your thoughts on it, mate? What's your thoughts in general on the Steven Gerrard appointment?
Do you know what? Like I was saying, I never thought I'd support another Premier League, and I wouldn't say I'm supporting another Premier League team. Like it's always Liverpool for me, but I really do want to see Villa do well, and that's because Steven Gerrard's been my idol since I can remember. And to see a player like him do what he did as a player and then step into a managerial position and still achieve greatness, we've seen a lot of other players try it and it just hasn't worked out. We've got great examples in the Premier League with Ole, Arteta, and etc., where managerial career is just a different challenge. It requires a different level of skill and a level of leadership and management and that sort of stuff. And Gerrard's managed to prove that in Scotland. And I'm not downplaying the Scottish League here at all, because Rangers and Celtic and this and that, you've got great teams in the Scottish League and you've got great challenges. And Gerrard was able to step up to those challenges in that league. And to be honest, if he can do that, if he can kind of replicate that sort of same thing over here in the Premier League, then it's a proof of his quality as a man in football, as a person in football. And I would just love to see that. I mean, it would just add to his Hall of Fame sort of status that he's got. And yeah, I'd love to see him do something special in the Prem.
No, absolutely. And I think on that, guys, what do you think? How do you think you'll actually get on though straight away? So the first game today, Ram, how do you think you'll get on today? Hard game against Brighton. What's your thoughts on that?
I think it's going to be a little bit of a struggle. Brighton obviously in good form. Aston Villa, obviously the last 5 games they've lost, but I think they might get a draw. I really do. They're quite. If you look at the Aston Villa team and the Rangers team that obviously Gerrard had left with, You can see a lot of similarities with a lot of the players that they have, like their fullbacks, Matty Cash and Matt Target, are very similar to Borna Barisic and James Tavernier. Emi Buendia, Leon Bailey, they're very, very similar to the likes of Ryan Kent and Yanis Hadji. And obviously Danny Ings, Alfredo Morelos, both there to be goal scorers and clinical strikers. So there are a lot of similarities with both teams. Obviously, John McGinn, Glenn Kamara. I feel like it will be as if he's managing Rangers again, but it's obviously in a lot stronger league. So yeah, I think he'll be all right. But today, I think it's going to be a draw.
No, absolutely, mate. I think that's a really good shout. I think what you said about the system as well. I know, Finn, you mentioned Gary McAllister and Michael Beale. I was going to say, but Michael Beale obviously was a coach at Liverpool, and that's where Gerrard took him from. I don't think it's a coincidence that the style of football is similar, with tweaks here and there, obviously, because you can't dominate every game as much as you want. And I think it's a really good shout, Ram. I feel like there's a lot of rumours in Scotland as well that when Gerrard was leaving, people thought that they were going to offer Michael Beale the job because he is obviously quite important to the way they play and the style of football. As you say, with the high fullbacks, the pressing, the kind of hunting in packs. But no, I think Michael Beale wanted to come to Aston Villa because he's actually been appointed as assistant manager as well. So he wasn't that at Rangers. It was just Gary McAllister, but now they're joint. So there's two assistant managers. So that's also a kind of promotion in him. He'll be invaluable for Gerrard. Honestly, he implemented his style of play for about 3 years. And the first 2 years, it was like people were saying, "Oh, it's not working." It was working well, but inconsistent. And in the last year being unbeaten, that was the reason. It just everything fell in place. And that's why they all know their jobs. And it's going to be a very interesting one. And the points on that with the players, do you think he'll sign anyone in January, Ram? Is there anyone you think? For me, I think he's going to get a centre mid because there's not really a ball playing centre mid at Villa. Like McGinn's great, but McGinn's more
box to box.
Best box to box. And if I think if you look back at his time at Rangers, maybe the best people he's had or most important is your Glenn Kamara, especially Stephen Davis for controlling games. I looked off the top of my head, I don't think there's anyone at Villa right now. I could be wrong, but off the top of my head, I don't think there is. I know you've got Douglas Luiz, but he's more impact. But I'm talking about, as I say, a Davis just dictating the tempo. Ironically, it's probably like a Billy Gilmore at Norwich would kind of suit that.
Ward-Prowse would be superb. They've been after him for a little while as well.
Yeah, that's a good point as well. Is there any others? I think you'll get someone like that in January. Do any think you'll take any players from Scotland?
I was actually considering that, but I don't think I couldn't put any names, but I think that there's certain players that were so vital to his system that he might try looking at.
If they didn't have such a wealth of experience in terms of wingers, I think Ryan Kent would have been a huge shout personally. I think
either him or Yanis Hadji, but one of those two would have gone. But they've got some pretty decent wingers and Tavernier as well. But they got cash, so
I think they'd come in as competition as opposed to starting.
Yeah.
See, I think it's strange. So I think he would take Kent, and I think he would start Kent. People who've not watched Scottish football will probably say that's a bit of a gamble, but Kent, sometimes he had consistent seasons, but he always kind of stepped up in big moments, scored in old firms quite a lot. He did have spells where he wasn't that consistent, don't get me wrong, but I do think I think he would take Kent. However, I think it's just the money. So It might be a case of, I don't know, 15, 20 million to get Kent, maybe say 15. And he's already got Bailey, as you said, in the team. And I know Bendy is not a winger, but again, a number 10. So at times what he'd done, as Ram will know this as well, see when you play a 4-3-3, with Gerrard's system would sometimes be like how Liverpool have two wing forwards, but what he would do is he'd sometimes make them two number 10s. So Kent could go out wide, but also play number 10. That's why Kent's very useful. I think he could sign him because Kent can do both positions. But just with Bailey and Buendia being there, I'm not sure. For me, I think it will definitely happen. I think he'll sign like a Aribo or a Kamara. I think Aribo is probably what he will do because Aribo is, I think, 24, 25. Yeah. Can play central midfield, can play wing. Aribo's, if you see in the Europa League as well. He came from
Charlton, didn't he? Good player. Good
brilliant player. Mate, brilliant player. Like you talk about the goal he scored against Braga in Europa League. Very, very good player. Aribo's, I think that's the type of signing he'll get. And maybe on top of that, Nathan Patterson. Not a Tavernier. I think a Patterson who's younger and, as you say, like can maybe be in the back behind Matty Cash or
moulded.
And Patterson backs himself. I mean, he scored for Scotland during the week, so I feel like he would back himself. That's the type of players I think he'll go for. But I think Ali A in the chat just said there, shout out Ali, maybe Patterson right back. I could see that happening because that's one that he might not have to come in the team straight away, but it could be to build for the future. But yeah, it's an interesting one. What do you think the score will be today, guys, then, with the Villa-Brighton game?
I think it could be Villa at home.
Yeah.
They've got an amazing crowd as well. They've got an amazing crowd. They're going to be superb. I think it could be. I'm going 3-1 home win. I think Gerrard there, everything. I think obviously Potter likes to sit deep, and we've seen what he's done to us. But I think there could be some shocks today. I think that big bounce will be hugely important for them today, personally.
So, Saif, I know you're going to jump in there. What was your actual thought? Is there anything else you wanted to add on the appointment of Gerrard? If there's, how do you think they'll play exactly similar to the way Rangers would? I think we've probably summarised they would, but is there anything else you wanted to add on that, mate?
Yeah, no, to be honest, I think it is a case of Gerrard bringing his style of football with him and Aston Villa adjusting more to Gerrard's style. And the thing is, he comes with a very strong aura and personality around him in the sense that he has his way. And I can't see him becoming flexible to Villa's style of football because he knows his way and he knows it works, and he's proven it at Rangers. And saying all of that, though, I think it's going to take a while for Villa to adjust to his style of football. It's great that the transfer window is not too far around the corner, but I can't see them doing tons of business in Christmas. And I think it's going to be more a case of slowly developing the team towards the end of this season, and then in summer, hopefully Gerrard will have that kind of pull where he can convince the board at Villa to make those sort of to invest in the sort of players that they need to develop as a club and everything like that. However, I think it's more like a 2-3 year plan. It's not going to be something where Gerrard's going to come in suddenly. They're going to be a fantastic team and everything. Like what he did at Rangers was incredible, and it's the Premier League. Like it's not just going to be a quick kind of turnover and expect instant results. But saying that, I think today's game, I don't really think Villa are going to pull off the win. I think they're going to come with a lot of confidence. And Finners is right in the sense that they've got a great atmosphere at Villa Park and everything like that. But I mean, I don't know. I just can't see them pulling off a win today. I think maybe a draw, 1-1 draw or something like that, or I think 2-1 to Brighton.
Do you know what? I agree, mate. I actually think there is a new manager bounce, but I think we just underestimate. I know we call it Potter ball, but I think Potter's just great. Like, I mean, he's just a brilliant manager. I think their whole setup's outstanding. The way they play, I think it'll be a draw today because I think everyone's expecting that's a great game. It's not a great game because Brighton have caused lots of teams problems by playing, having attacking great play, but also defensively looking to adapt during games. I mean, it's the Liverpool game, but you can look at others. And actually, since Bissouma came out of the team, that's kind of what I nearly dropped my can of juice there, which kind of, what's the word, coincided with the drop of wins. So I don't know. I think Brighton look good, but as I say, Finn, you might get that manager's bounce. But the only thing I'm thinking is like the implementation of that football, that's not going to happen in a week. So it's going to be those players to step up.
On paper, I think man for man, I think Aston Villa actually have a far stronger team on paper. Martinez had one of the best seasons I've ever seen a goalkeeper have in football. And for him to just drop off in the fashion that he has, I mean, he went away with Argentina, swept up the trophy there, came back. And I think the culture in the club obviously led to poor performances. But we can't forget that they've got a very strong defence as well. When Konza and Mings communicate and talk, I think that could be an elite trio, like a spine that is, if they get embedded well in these coaches, which Steven Gerrard himself has freely admitted to at Rangers, is that he lets his coaches do the work. Obviously, he does his rounds during training. He implies his philosophy, but he does very much step back and let the coaches do the actual work themselves. So whether he's even been present very often whilst he's still getting to grips with the club, going around, doing all the formalities, etc. I think he's very much is happy for the coaches to do their work. And he's seen it pay dividends at Rangers as well. So I really do think that they've got a really strong core. They've got a great spine. And if they're all fit and firing, there's nothing to suggest that these guys can't beat Brighton today. And that's why I'm saying it with chest. Obviously, I agree with your sentiments that it could be closer than perhaps what I interpret, but I'm hoping for a big Stevie win personally.
Oh no, I'd love that as well, mate. I just think there's certain teams. Football's changed. It's not new manager comes in. It's like there's a bounce, but
I just think
tactically
Sanchez
Brighton
in
are very
goal
good.
as well, their end of the field. I think Sanchez has had some absolute howlers
But
lately.
you say that though, Sanchez had a good season, Finn. He's had
He
two
has.
suspect
He
moments.
stepped up, but some howlers. We can
But De
say that
Gea's
about
had some howlers, and people are saying De Gea
Yeah.
is one of the best keepers again. So it's like Sanchez for me. I get what you're saying, but I think he got a call up for Spain.
He did.
Obviously, with him in the team, you've got someone who's very competent with his feet. So I think like it's
Solly
see,
March
Ramz,
being back for them is quite important
yeah.
as well. He's had a lot of injuries.
You know, I think you're right, mate. I just think Sanchez is. Don't get me wrong, he made the mistake against City and does it. I'm not. You're absolutely right, but I just think he's one of those keepers that he's still very good, and they've still got a great snippet of a keeper there. So yeah, it's going to be an interesting one. It's going to be interesting. So what's your score predictions then, everyone? Just to go around again, you were was it 3-1 or 2-1? Finn,
I'm saying 3-1. I'd
3-1.
love to see Leon Bailey smashing a free kick. Maybe Polish Matty Cash do the business. And
I think people are getting a little bit exaggerated with Leon Bailey because he had one good game against Everton. It was like he's very good, but
it
he's
was
still
his
young.
debut, wasn't it, as well?
Oh, no, his debut was against Watford. He came on and got assist. But
That's it. He looked great in that game.
Good. But he's got to be more consistent. He's a good player, but let's not compare him to Sterling quite yet. I think he's good, Bailey, but he's still got a lot to do. No, I know. But what was so Finn? You were 2-1, Brighton.
I'm 3-1.
Sorry.
3-1 Villa.
3-1. Saif, you were 1-1 or 2-1 Brighton. And Ram, what were you?
I think it's going to be a draw 0-0.
No.
I don't think so.
You're probably right, mate. That's what happens.
It always happens. Like Klopp's first game was a draw 0-0 against Spurs. So
Origi hits the post in that game. I remember as well.
That's true, yeah. But I just looked at the Chelsea score. It could have been 6-0 to Chelsea.
What was it?
They had 3 goals disallowed.
All right. Well, should have stayed on side then. Should have stayed on side. No, but it could have been if you watched that game anyway. But yeah, so just on the Villa, that kind of sums it up with that one, and it's going to be interesting to watch. And as I said, I think there'll be 5 million more viewers watching the game.
Just a quick thing, I think Rangers did a good job appointing Giovanni Van Bronckhorst. I rate Van Bronckhorst as a manager. He's a very manager. Yeah, of course. And he obviously won the league title with Feyenoord when it was PSV and Ajax that were fighting for the league. So I think Rangers did their part well and got themselves a very, very talented young manager.
I think we've lost Conroy temporarily there. I tend to agree with you, but by the freeze frame that is Conroy, I'm not sure if he also agrees. I think he does. I think he does. He looks a bit happy.
Back in. Sorry, Ram. What did you say? What did you say, Ram?
I just said Rangers did their part well and got in Giovanni Van Bronckhorst in as their manager, and I rate the guy so much because what he's done with Feyenoord. I think he should have been the Netherlands manager, not Louis van Gaal after Frank de Boer. He plays a very good style of football. So yeah, I think they did their part well.
The strange one about Van Bronckhorst is why did his career go that way once he won with Feyenoord? That's the question marks I have over Van Bronckhorst, because he went to China, didn't he? It's just a strange move. Like each to their own, don't get me wrong. I actually think it is a good appointment because if you watch this Feyenoord team, I think he had Dirk Kuyt. And he's getting the farewell season, scores the winning penalty. I think they won 3-0, they win the league.
What a hat trick, yeah.
What achievement! Yeah, it was what achievement that was as well. Because when you think about that, we go on about Rangers stopping the monopoly, but Feyenoord winning against PSV and Ajax in that league, that's some feat as well. So I think you're right, mate. I think I've got to be honest, I probably need to do a breakdown of Van Bronckhorst's style of football, but I do know it's like it is quite attacking as well. It's not as maybe as open as others, but he can get the best out of that team. And I think Rangers will be looking to get someone in who's not looking to spend money or a lot of money because there's a good team there already, and it'll just to be come in and use that. I don't know, maybe a few additions, but probably not spend a lot in January because you've got a team who won the league unbeaten there and you've not sold anybody. You've not, as far as you've not sold anybody.
It's a safe bet for Rangers, don't you think? Because he understands the value and the ethos of the club, obviously playing there before in the past and whatnot.
Yeah. Everyone goes on about that, and I do get it, mate. But to be perfectly honest, the football, you have to understand the pressure in Scotland, and you have to have a good style of football. It matches that team. So like Celtic mucked up because they brought Neil Lennon in to follow a Brendan Rodgers style of team. They're light years apart in styles of football. So how's that going to work? I have to look into Van Bronckhorst more, but I do think it's a manager. It'll kind of keep that philosophy. It's a bit like Ross Wilson, the director of football, said. It's like if you've got someone like that, like a director, you're always going to get managers in who are similar style, which means you can always use that team, and you're not having to, like a United, for example, get a new manager in, a whole new like players to suit a certain philosophy, which to be honest is not very productive. So I feel like it's you're right there, Finn, because he's got that experience, but I think it's not because he's the fact he's played for Rangers is great. The fact he's been successful as a manager is the most important thing. Because and he understands the pressure. It's more the pressure. To be fair to Ange Postecoglou in Celtic, like he's got a good style of football. He's a brilliant manager. He was very good. I'd heard that before he came to Scotland, and he's implemented that style of football. So it's like you say safe bet. I'd probably say it's the best bet to go for Finn. But I'll tell you right now, as soon as his first game, the pressure's on, because they'll Rangers fans will still expect Rangers to win the league this year.
Yeah.
And Celtic are playing well. You've got good players like Jota, Kyogo. They're looking good. So it's going to be interesting. But we can catch up on that soon and see how that goes. But on the other managerial appointment, because I know we want to be watching the Villa game at 3:00. So on the other managerial appointment, we're going to talk about now. I'm going to hold off and not getting a debate about this one. So I'll let you guys, because I'm hosting, on Howe at Newcastle. So, Saif, I'll go for you first, mate. What's your thoughts on Howe, and how do you think he'll get on? I actually, it's annoying his name's Howe, because I was trying to work out the title for this video like 3 times. I can't say how's he going to get on, so I have to work it around it.
I'll be honest, I think it's difficult to say much about the Eddie Howe, in the sense that he's been around as a manager for quite a while. He was at Bournemouth for quite a few years, if I'm not wrong. And he did all right with the club, and I just think it comes down to how much is he going to change the culture of the football at the club. How well is he going to be able to implement his style of football at the institution of Newcastle? Because Newcastle have, I feel like, a very particular style of playing football, and just like you were saying before, like you've got a team that plays a particular style, and in the same way, Manchester United have been very counterproductive by appointing managers that are complete different cultures and styles of football, and you're never going to develop a club like to a high level like that. Whereas I think it's going to be interesting to see how Eddie Howe steps into Newcastle. I'll be honest, I don't know much about him as a manager, but it's going to be very interesting to see how he implements his style of football into the club, and if he's able to do that successfully. Also, I think it comes down to, is he going to have access to their bank quite quickly? Like, are they going to start throwing money at him straight away because they're going to want instant results? And looking at Newcastle's position at the moment, I doubt that the Saudi, whatever fund they're called, wanted to put all that money to see Newcastle go down. So I do think he's got a great opportunity with this transfer window coming up. But again, if they do throw money at it, it might just be a quick fix and it will work till the end of the season. But I don't know how well they're actually going to develop as a club under Eddie Howe.
Fair enough, mate. Just Ali's comment here, guys. Do you think Edwards will go to Newcastle? Obviously, Michael Edwards as director, because he has a good relationship with Howe. Do you think that's got any bearing on the rumours to link him with
Ramz, tell us where he's going. Germany correspondent.
To be honest, I don't know. I haven't really been following up on Germany, but I think if he does go Newcastle, I'm going to be very upset. I will be very, very upset, because if he goes Newcastle,
it's a step down.
It is a step down, but it's also it's the perfect person for them to get, because he
his job's slightly different though, isn't it? He's projects, so you're saying it's a step down, but he's not going to play in central midfield to go for a title. He'll be looking to start like a project. So it depends, but maybe, I don't know, he's worked 10 years, guys. Maybe he just wants a different job.
It's true. I mean, the rumours I've seen him linked with, well, from summer was Real Madrid, but most recently is RB Leipzig. So And they're both in need of starting up projects themselves. Obviously, Ancelotti plugging the gaps at Real Madrid. They're bought in Camavinga. Huge rumours circulating. Mbappe going to Real Madrid. So if he can lure him in, obviously Michael Edwards has had conversations with the chairman of Liverpool, trying to lure him to Liverpool for as long as we've heard about it. So there's a lot to be kind of interpreted here with this whole Michael Edwards on the move. I don't think Newcastle is the best or most prosperous move for him.
I thought he'd just take a break, to be honest. It's not like he needs the money, does he? You know what I mean? Just take a break for a year.
I think and if that's the case, it comes down to what challenge he's looking forward to, and I think Newcastle will be a great challenge for him.
You might think that he might take a break for a year and then look somewhere in a year's time, and it might be, I don't know.
I think Newcastle themselves would be in a far better position in a year's time. Definitely.
Yeah. So on that, Finn, then Ramz, you'll finish with you on the thoughts on Howe. What's your thoughts on Howe, and how do you think? I need to. What is your thoughts on Eddie Howe, and what do you think? How do you think he'll get this one on? How do you think he'll get on at Newcastle?
I get you. I think he's great. I actually seen him when my brother used to live in Bournemouth, so I've seen a few Bournemouth games when they were down in League One, and they really were cooking. They were looking really good for the league that they were in at the time, and he favours the 5-3-2, which is very similar to the structure of Newcastle's team anyway. So if he can solidify the five at the back, he always plays on the counter. I mean, do you guys remember that game where we played Bournemouth in the lime green?
Oh yes,
jerseys?
I know the Bournemouth story very well. Yes.
So stranger things have happened. I think obviously he knows how to implement his tactics well. It's about the core group. If he can get enough out of his spine, I think it'll be a fantastic challenge for him. Obviously, they need to clear out Deadwood. I'm hearing a lot of speculation that the other 19 Premier League clubs have got an anyone but Newcastle transfer policy in January. So they're obviously going to be looking to source players from outside of the league. But again, very much important about their director. If they get a good director in that, like Spurs have done with Patrici, then they've just adopted the Serie A philosophy. Let's just go for anyone from Serie A with Conte in, so it's hugely dependent on their kind of structuring. But I think Amanda Staveley obviously has a strong plan, and I don't doubt that they will invest in January. I mean, they were happy to spend 45 million on Joe Linton whilst Ashley was there. So he's definitely a 90 million pound player with the Saudis involved.
Yeah, well, do you know, on that, Finn, I feel like as well, I'll let Ram maybe say first and I'll get into my say, but I think there's some fair points in that. And what I would add on the spine part is, like, Howe's teams did concede, but he has been away from football. I would say more that they will score goals, especially with Wilson. His relationships with Wilson, he got the best that he can.
There, Matt Ritchie there as well.
Yeah, Matt Ritchie as well. Like, don't get me wrong, I think Matt Ritchie's actually had quite a good season, to be honest. I think everyone's saying Newcastle have been poor, but Matt Ritchie at one point was up there for like most chances created and stuff. So I don't think he's necessarily been that bad.
He's a makeshift left back as well.
And obviously Fraser. I don't know how bad the relationship is with Howe and Fraser, but it didn't end great. But you don't know if it was specifically between those two, because he didn't end up playing in the relegation battle because he didn't want to risk it because his contract was coming to an end. But Ram, I'll kind of finish on Howe. So what's your thoughts on Howe, and how do you, and what, what's your thoughts on Howe?
I think he'll be good for Newcastle, but this season I don't know what he's gonna do, because I feel like Newcastle are in a very, very dire situation. I very highly predict they'll go down. I think they'll go down even with the investment that they get in January if they do some business. I think it's gonna be a difficult one for him to sort of understand what the club wants and how they want to progress forward. I think they'll progress forward with him, but it's going to take a lot of time, especially with FFP sort of trying to stop them fast tracking their way into the top of the table, top parts of the table.
Yeah, I think the thing is, Ram, I think that was Ali's comment there about his good appointment. I think he's a good appointment as well, because if he keeps him up, great, but they're not going to sack him if he goes down, because he plays good football, and I think he'll be good in the Championship. He'd done it obviously with Bournemouth, and I feel like that's a good appointment. What I would also add, people, I actually follow the Bournemouth fan channel, so I've actually, because I've always liked Eddie Howe, so when people are coming out now saying this, terrible money and stuff like that, there has been mistakes in there, but I don't know any managers who's not. But I don't think they properly do the research into that. And I'm not going to make this video all about that. But if you want to hear this, it's so how, right? People say he got bankrolled for League Two to where they got, right. So maybe at one point they're probably the best team, I think, in League One. I'll give you that. But there is no way Adam Smith is ever a Premier League player and consistently playing in the Premier League without Eddie Howe. There's no way Steve Cook is, right? There is no way that Callum Wilson, maybe you've got there, but he's signing from Coventry at League One, right? Bear that in mind, right?
Charlie Daniels.
Ryan Fraser from Aberdeen, Charlie Daniels. So don't come at me with this where it's, because he sold that. Listen, Eddie Howe has been very good at getting players to play at a different level. So I'd say he got 5 years Bournemouth. He got guys like Adam Smith, who you wouldn't say were at that level, to consistently be there.
The only player that was there that could play in the Premier League was Lewis Cook, the midfielder.
Yeah, Lewis Cook was good. And Akios came in, he was quite good as well.
Yeah, I think they had Stanislas, who played for Burnley and Prem teams in the past.
But I've said 6 players there already who are playing above a level for him. You know what I mean? Josh King from Blackburn Rovers, another one. So it's like people are quick to forget that. And I just feel like he's always been good at getting more at certain players. And I feel like people don't look at it properly. And I feel like that Newcastle team, he'll get players in. So on that, I think the team he's got, he'll get more out of them. But on the spending, I'm going to just cut this myth right now. So Jordan Ibe didn't work out. That was a poor signing, right? But a lot of people at one point would say Ibe and Sterling. Ibe had the more potential. But yes, call that a mistake if you want. Dominic Solanke, 20 million. Well, Dominic Solanke is one of the top scorers in the Championship now, and at his age, he's probably coming to his prime. So that doesn't look like it's going to be a poor signing, especially if they get promoted. Well, then that's they've bought something for the future that's got them back in the Premier League. Lloyd Kelly, another signing they got.
Fantastic.
Playing now, brilliant now, right? Like brought him at younger age. Dan Juma sold him for a profit to Villarreal. Everyone's saying Liverpool should have got him. That again doesn't.
It wasn't even on the radar at the time, though. That's
the narrative. And it's like I will watch this channel because they broke it down and they did say, listen, everyone's got a few mistakes, but come on, we paid 60 million for Keita, and it's either way you want it. He's not maybe been poor in his own fault, but he's been inconsistent in injuries. But what I mean is, it's like everyone's got a few bad ones, and also I think Brooks,
Chris Mepham.
Brooks, Sheffield United, great signing. You know, Ali, I know you said he's a Prem player, definitely, mate, but you helped my argument about the signing because they signed him, and it proves there is good signings in there. So this narrative that he's terrible at spending, I think, is because maybe you talk about the Ibe one. I feel like that's not the case. So I feel like, just on my point, the Newcastle team, he can get more out of them, and I think his spending will be reasonable. I'm not saying amazing, but I think it's not the laughing stock or maybe as terrible as people think it is, because if you actually look into it, there's good ones and there's been bad ones, but that's.
Do you think they'll go for? Sorry, Conroy. Do you think
No, I'm just going to say I think Ram. I just think that it's a nice balance. I think for Newcastle that for having him in charge.
I was just going to say, do you think Newcastle will adopt like a Monaco style of approach where they'll just bring up their focus on the youth and bring up players and then sell them for a profit and then go out and buy the big players?
Maybe. I think what you maybe find though is at this stage, it'll be interesting to see in the future. It's a good point, Ram, but at this stage, I think it'll just be a case of the good thing about Howe is, see, we put managers like that, he's going to get players to suit the system and work to his system. And he's been away, so you're maybe hoping that he's worked on that defensive side of his game. But I still, he kept Bournemouth in the league for 5 years, and they went down because a VAR wasn't working one day, or he'd still be in the Premier League. It's like they did concede a lot, and that probably doesn't improve, but they still won a lot of games. Like they beat Chelsea 4 times in 5 years of the Premier League. That's why Chelsea fans will say, "Oh, I don't want like clubs like Bournemouth," because they got battered 4 times by them. 3-0 at Stamford Bridge, twice I think. No, once 3-0 at Stamford Bridge, 4-0 at the Vitality Stadium. But I don't, so it's like there was a lot of big wins in there. I do think there'll be tweaks, but I think right now he'll maybe in January get players in to suit him, but I think he'll get the best out of players like Callum Wilson. And it is annoying he's not going to be there today, because it's like he's he's obviously got COVID, so I don't know how much you can take from today. Obviously, they've been training all week. Kev is saying his problem is tactics can be naive. This current crowd are brutal bad. The table doesn't lie. January could come too late to save them. Possibly, Kev, but I still think he'll stay there. I think it's like he's a good manager at having the championship, as we said, to bring them back up. The tactics were naive. He did say that, but he kept them up with those tactics. Like, as much as you're saying you're conceding, his philosophy will be, this is the way I play football, and it's been successful. And as I say, because the VAR didn't work properly against Aston Villa in the Sheffield United game, they went down because they went down by 1 point, and Villa would have lost that game.
I think I want to add on to Kev's point as well, and yours there, Conroy, as well, in regards to if they do go down, it gives them a golden opportunity to do a squad rebuild. It's not like they're short on cash. They'll just sell off all the players that want to continue playing their careers in the Premier League or what other league it may be, and they'll just rebuild again. And they'll have all the financial assets to lure in these developing championship players, or these, like, say, for instance, Ivan Toney was bought in by Brentford. He was Peterborough's top goal scorer in League One, then went on the following year to be the top scorer for Brentford. So, and Toney himself is an ex-Newcastle player. So, who's to say if Brentford don't do well and they tail off? Or there's so much capacity in what Kev's had to say there. Their team is poor, but you know what? If they go down, you hit the reset button, you clear out all the dead wood, all the players that don't want to fight for the team, and you go again. You'll get 6-7 really good players.
I think the thing as well, just to add in, mate, as well, it's because Kev said they are brutal, they're a bad standard. I don't think that's going to be used against Howe if he isn't able to keep them up, because it's a bit like saying you've already got that stacked against you. Yeah. So that's why I think they've went with the Howe appointment. To be honest, I feel like they'll say what do you call it? They've got what was I going to say? They've got, it was Emery or Howe. And I think they went with Howe because people were emphasising relegation's a big thing. I know you said that, Saif, and it's annoying, but I don't think it's the same years ago. I think Newcastle already got relegated with Benitez under Mike Ashley, came back up. I think they would look to do it again. I don't think it's only another year. Kev adds they've got 200 million under FFP available in this.
I would have thought it's about half that. So knowing that is incredible.
January, Kev, is that what you mean? Available to spend? Because obviously the FFP rules. Possibly, but it'll be interesting to see how much they give under Howe of that money, though. It'll be interesting to see how much they go for it. Obviously, they'll get some players, and I'm very intrigued to see how they buy. But yeah, anything else you guys want to add on the Howe chat? I don't know if it's
this last little segment is that. Go on.
See, just because of the COVID, but then again, he's been at training all week, so you'd hope to see some difference.
I do think that Howe, as much as it sounds ridiculous after what we've just said about whether he goes down, he'll likely retain his job. The pressure side of element is far stronger than the Steven Gerrard appointment. I think the pressure on Eddie Howe's shoulders, even though he knows potentially that his job's going to be safe 6 months down the line if they do get relegated, I think right now in the moment he's chomping at the bit to turn the team around and not have to go through that at all in the first place. So big up Ryan.
Yeah, no, I think it's an interesting one. Yeah, it is going to be interesting. But yeah, on that, guys, I know it's only half an hour to kick off. Good morning, Ryan. He just said in the chat there, how you doing, mate? Thanks for watching. What I would say is, anything else anybody want to add on Newcastle, or you think we've covered it there? Where do you think Newcastle will finish?
Oh, I just want to add, I just want to say, I think that, because you were mentioning relegation earlier and it not being such a big deal, I just think that the problem that comes with relegation is trying to get talent from anywhere, to be honest, into that club is a difficult process.
Would you think maybe the signings in January would be more players who are maybe top Championship, more Premier League? Do you know what I mean?
Right now, the thing is, a lot of players might look at it as a stepping stone. So say you've got, I can't really think of an example right now. All right, look at what Crystal Palace did with Conor Gallagher, right? Conor Gallagher wasn't playing in the Chelsea team, whatever it was, and that playing for Crystal Palace for him was great exposure, great step up, and for him to kind of showcase his ability and that sort of thing. So there's a lot of players that might look at that and think, all right, Newcastle's my place to kind of prove myself. If I'm a Championship player, then it's my step into the Premier League. However, if Newcastle don't look like they're staying up, then you're looking to go into the Premier League just for a couple months to come straight back down. And on top of all of that, if they do go down towards the end of this season and they're not looking to even get into a relegation scrap and they're just going to get relegated, then how are they going to be able to get any sort of why would you go to Newcastle if there's other clubs, even if they're lower in the Premier League, like let's just say Watford? Why would you choose Newcastle over Watford?
But what I
Two
would say is,
reasons I've got.
sorry,
I've
Finn,
got.
on you go. No, on you go, Finn. Sorry, I'll go
Sweet.
after.
So I agree with your points there as well, but I think there's two types of players that will be attracted to a club like Newcastle. Is your Jesse Lingards, who are fringe players, or you don't. I'm not necessarily saying it's that person, but the players of that ilk, like your Donny van der Beeks, your Jesse Lingards, your fringe players that are getting no time. There's players in the Arsenal squad that are not even getting time now that they've formed that kind of gel, or even a player that's doing excellent at championship level. I mean, I don't know if you guys follow the championship. I follow it quite religiously. And Alexander Mitrovic, I think he scored 20 goals in 15 games and bagged like 6 assists. And he used to play for Newcastle. And if he's relishing the championship right now and having the best game like time of his career, goes to Newcastle for 6 months. Maybe he does well. Maybe he comes back down with them. He knows he's going to bang goals if he comes back down. Do you know what I mean? So if they lure a championship player, there's a player at Reading, I think, John Swift, ex-Chelsea. I think he's fantastic. He's got goals, he's got assists. If they can lure a John Swift, or if they can get a Mitrovic in from the championship, they're laughing. Absolutely laughing.
I think there is definitely a parameter, guys, because top championship and bottom Premier League, that's kind of the one now. Like, you could say that in the sense of, like, you're saying championship, but for me, there's... Actually, look at Bournemouth's team now with Scott Parker.
Yeah.
You've got Patrick Billen, Lerman. Now, they've done well to keep those players, right? But what I'm saying is there is players kind of low level of the Premier League or maybe mid-table who I think you can get in, because see the thing with the Conor Gallagher thing, Conor Gallagher is looking at be a Chelsea level in his career. I think there is an area that if they spend right, it could go well for them. But you're right, Saif, if they go like Hollywood in January, you're not going to convince them. But I do think there's certain players that are top championship and bottom Premier League that you can keep them part of the project.
There's another thing as well is that saw something pop up on Instagram about how Bayer Leverkusen were in for some player, unidentified player, in the summer. You think they're a top 4 German outfit, regularly getting either Europa or Champions League qualification. They went in for a player and they said one of the teams, that newly promoted Premier League team, could offer more wages to that player and their representatives than a top 4 German team can. So you think about that as well in perspective. You look at like mid-table Italian teams, mid-table French teams.
See, Portugal, Finn, sorry to interrupt me, but see a couple of years ago, see when Bournemouth won the Premier League with the money coming in then, I think they're not worth as a club, but in that specific season, right, they're making more money than Benfica, like, or anybody in Portugal.
Crazy.
Right? So it's unbelievable. But listen, that was a good chat, and it'd be very interesting. Who did Newcastle play today? Because I've completely forgot.
I'm going to have a little quick look.
Who is it?
That's a challenge. That is. Yeah, it's Brentford, but they're at St James's Park.
Who's winning that? What's the prediction, guys?
Brentford.
I think
Brentford not got a lot of players injured though. Brentford still got a lot of players missing. They did the last couple of weeks.
Let me have a look at the lineup. Yeah, they have got quite a few players missing.
I'll go 1-1. 1-1 for me.
Yeah.
Another draw.
No.
Maybe no. I might take that back. A 0-0 draw again.
No.
I'm going 2-2.
Ramz, you're making this the most boring Premier League weekend in a while.
I know. It's not watching match of the day night, that's for sure.
It's everything just seems a little bit dry today, and like all the hype for it's not going to come out like that.
Let's just hope the Liverpool Newcastle game like steps up to the challenge, because
Liverpool Newcastle, you're going to different
Sorry, not Liverpool Arsenal. Sorry, I'm putting Arsenal and Newcastle on the same page now.
No, I know, mate. Oh no, I know. I'm looking for a standard 5-0. Sitting on the fence, Ramz and Saif, not Ali. Brilliant, mate. Superb as always. So I was going to talk about Dean Smith. We'll just kind of chat about it in our time, because I know we want to get into the thoughts on, as Saif said, the Liverpool Arsenal game. Just before we do, because it's in the bloody thumbnail, I'll just say quickly, guys, a minute each on. Well, I'm just going to start because it's Scotland. Scotland have managed to reach the World Cup playoffs in a long time. I can't remember the actual how many years, because I've confused it by us reaching the Euros, so my head's a bit confuzzled by it. But it's been a long time.
90?
Yeah, I think that was last. We got in a World Cup qualifier against Holland, but I can't remember if that was the Euros under Berry Vogts or if that was the World Cup. But anyway, unbelievable. And then to top it all off, that was after a win against Moldova, and to top it off, beating Denmark, who'd won 9 games, right, in the group, beating Shea Adams, unbelievable. We've guaranteed a seeded spot. So for the first playoff, if I'm correct, we're home for that against the unseeded team. And then I don't know how the following one, if we touch would get through, works. But yeah, unbelievable, guys. What a team we've got for a team who's going to be a centre back, who's going to be a striker. We've managed to just develop this depth now, which is outstanding. And John Souttar coming on. I don't know if you know, but John Souttar had 3 like Achilles injuries or big injuries, major injuries, came all the way back, and he actually got sent off in his last game for Scotland 3 years ago against Australia, I think.
Yeah, it was. And his brother Harry plays for Australia as well.
Ironically.
Yeah,
fun, isn't it, mate? And then he scored after Liam Cooper, who also had a brilliant game. He's had his fair share of injuries as well. And then, honestly, guys, see that first half, that's the best I've seen Scotland play. We've had good spells with lots of games, but that's a good team, Denmark, albeit not every first team player. I'm not saying that, but they are a good team, right? And we just battered them first half. Like, we had 9 corners in the first half, just penning them in. Honestly, I don't know if you saw that clip.
Should have squared it to Robbo.
Oh, mate, that would have been like someone said.
Yeah.
He just knows he Scotland become Brazil. Someone said, when did Scotland become Brazil? That was honestly, that's us in a tee. Andy Robertson's the furthest player up the park in that move. And that just shows you with him and Tierney on that side, it's like, oh, it's just, I'm loving it, guys. I've got to be honest, I've been enjoying international breaks and yeah. Oh, so what was your thoughts on just the Scotland team, just quickly? Because I know you are obviously got your own national teams, but I just want to have a quick chat.
I'll go last this one.
So whoever wants to take the lead first, it doesn't have to be too long. You can just say.
I'll just say I haven't really been watching much international football at all. But
I wouldn't either, mate. I wouldn't either if we weren't playing good. But it's been brilliant.
No, it's exciting to see Scotland like this, to be honest. And the fact, like, obviously, I watched you lot in the Euros when you played against England. That was a fantastic game, and to hold England to a draw is quite a big ordeal for a country like Scotland. And even now that you lot got. Not downplaying Scotland now.
But it was. Billy Gilmore. If Declan Rice is worth 90 million, how much is Billy Gilmore worth?
But I just think it's exciting to see Scotland like this, and to be honest, I'd love to see you lot do well.
I'm just wondering, who do you guys get to play in the playoff?
So it's like the first round. So it's like imagine like a semi-final, right? It's seeded against unseeded. So, like, see, Italy, Portugal, they're all seeded. So the unseeded ones are like North Macedonia, Austria, Poland, not Wales. Wales are seeded. Austria, Poland, Ukraine, and someone else. Czech Republic. Yeah. Oh, 2 Nations League and 2 unseeded.
Don't want them. Don't want Czech Republic.
I think it's like the 3. I know what a goal that was. I still to this day, that's one of the best goals I've ever seen.
But that's another thing about Scotland. Why do they put granddads in goal? They had David Marshall in goal, and now they got 38-year-old Craig Gordon in goal.
He was amazing, mate.
He was amazing. He was amazing, but they're just putting seniors in goal.
It's to be honest though, mate. I think
Steve Clark's got it sussed.
I think the thing is though, it's like, in fairness to Gordon, he was retired and came back. Like he's very good goalkeeper. David Marshall moved and he's not been playing as much.
He's at Cardiff now, isn't he?
Yeah, and I don't think he has been playing. I might be wrong, but I think he wasn't playing.
What about Alan McGregor?
McGregor retired a couple of years ago. McGregor retired.
They're all retired. They should all be retired.
I think Gordon's case though, it's because Gordon missed 3 years with retirement because he injured early, so he's maybe wanting to make up for that. So that makes sense to me. But Gordon's been very good, mate. Been very good.
It could end up being like Ireland, where you've got 3 goalkeepers that are under 22, because they've got Mark Travers, Kiva Kelleher, and Bazunu, who's 19.
Bazunu looks head and shoulders right now. He looks brilliant.
19 years old, playing for Portsmouth. Yeah. What a goalie that guy is.
No, brilliant. And also with Scotland, you've got John McLaughlin and Liam Kelly. So Liam Kelly played for QPR, now plays for Motherwell, and John McLaughlin's Rangers reserve keeper. They're actually quite young, to be fair. Liam Kelly's got a good goalkeeper as well. I don't know if you saw him, Finn. He played for QPR.
Yeah, he did. Ago. Mixed race guy, isn't he?
Liam Kelly. No, I don't.
Is it the older one? I'm thinking of Archer.
Archer, Archer is. That's Jordan Archer. This is Liam Kelly. He's just kind of like Caucasian and beard, but he's good. He is a good keeper, good shot stopper. But so that was Ramz, that was you, and it was Ram, did we answer your question there? Because he went on, I completely forgot what the question was.
Yeah, I mean, I just wanted to know who you guys could play in the. Who could play?
That was it. The seeded, unseeded.
Who would you not want to play? That's my question.
See, with the first one, I'll just whatever you get. You say Lewandowski's at Poland, and absolutely, mate, what a threat he is. And Poland have been good against us in the past, but I know Poland aren't playing particularly well now. But I think with that one, you can't really worry about the first draw. You just kind of have to go with it. Following that, though, it's actually more that if touchwood we get through, of course Portugal and Italy are in when we are in it. Of course they are. Like, that's just Scotland for you. But we'll see how it goes, guys, and it's going to be interesting. But
so I'm guessing either Russia, Sweden, or Wales you want to face.
Well,
Russia and Czech Republic or Ukraine, I would.
No, but for the final, what we'll do, Ram, is we'll see how it first goes, because you don't know who's going to get knocked out. But it's a hard one. I will say Wales are actually playing very well now. Nico Williams playing out left wing right now, left wing back. He's playing very well. But I've been his biggest critic.
Imagine a World Cup qualifier, like second round final, and it's Wales versus Scotland. That will be.
But Bale will just come on and score a screamer. It's what he does, mate. It's what he does against the teams I support. It's just like Champions League final, doesn't play, comes on, overhead kick, best goal I've ever seen. Just like, what are you doing, mate? What are you doing?
Have faith in the Scottish Zidane, innit?
Oh, well, I don't know. I think Zidane's goal was a poor man's Bale's, to be honest, in the Champions League final, because that is still the best goal I've ever seen in my life. Like, that's the only goal I've never moaned after. I've went, that's the best thing I've ever seen. Well, did that actually go in?
I still moaned.
I thought it was a glitch, mate. I thought it was a glitch when it hit the net. I was like, how did that go in? But Finn, finish off with Scotland, mate, and then last 10 we can chat about
Scotland. What can I say about them? I'm pretty made up for Sutar as well, because I'm a low-key Hearts fan, and they've just come back up from relegation as well. So
I'm going to get you a Hearts top for your birthday.
Do it. I've always 13th of December. It's not far away.
I will.
But yeah, it's kind of a cool story as well, because I've always liked Hearts players. Christoph Berra, obviously Stephen Naismith. So always kept an eye on Scotland for that reason. And to see him come back from the injuries has been superb as well. And 6 wins on the bounce in that World Cup qualifying group. Yeah. I mean, you struggled. You drew your first 2. Israel, it got a bit techie. And then you've just bounced back. You've done your Euros. And I think the unity of the squad, Andy Robertson leading that squad, obviously, he's picked up the morale. You've got these fringe players that are finding their identity in the side now. So it's really good. And it's a resurgence for Scotland. I look like a weather reporter, and we're going to have easterly winds.
Yeah. What's it like today, mate? What's the forecast for tonight?
Fair to mild.
No, I know. No, well, hopefully it's roasting, because Liverpool smack Arsenal 5-0. And just on that nice little segment there, Finn, thank you for the congratulations to Scotland. And hopefully, if we manage to get to the World Cup, you will see me just, I don't know. I'll probably just go away from it. Oh, mate, yeah. Just like, can't even think about it, mate. I'll be watching Braveheart before the game. Kevin Bridges once said, it's like, see, before Scotland had the independent referendum, they said they had Braveheart on the TV before the vote, but then they also had Train Spotting on the same night to show both sides, which is
hilarious,
quite funny. But listen, we're all Liverpool fans, guys. Last 8 minutes before the game start, right? Saif, what's your thoughts on the Liverpool Arsenal game tonight? You buzzing? You excited?
Oh yeah, I'm super excited. The thing is, I hate the international break, because it just feels like so long since I saw a Premier League game. But but what's it? I think I don't want to underestimate Arsenal. And usually I'll come into this game with so much confidence. And don't get me wrong, I do. But after us not picking up points at West Ham, and Arteta, has actually climbed Arsenal up the table. I don't think people realised how poorly Arsenal started and the position they're in now. If I'm not wrong, they're only like 3 points behind us.
Two.
Yeah, that's shocking. If you think about it, like, without looking at numbers or even the scorelines or whatever, if you just think of Liverpool and you think of Arsenal, you think Liverpool have had an all right season, and Arsenal have dropped off. They're only 2 points behind us. So I think going into this game, I just don't want to underestimate them too much. But then again, it is Arsenal. So,
I think that's fair enough, mate. What I would say is Arsenal have played well. I'll just let the guys come in now. What I would say is that Leicester win, I gave them credit, and I still give them credit because it was a good win. Their set pieces have really improved this year, getting goals from set pieces. But Leicester are just looking awful now. So I don't know how impressive that win actually was. But the start against Spurs, they were electric in the first half against Spurs. But Ram, what's your thoughts on it, mate? Are you fearing that Arsenal, because of defence, has not really got a big weakness now? And it's like in years going by, you've had a Louise or you've had a Kolasinac, or you've got someone there who's like who else is there? There's been a few who maybe had mishaps or poor games against us that we could press and exploit. Do you feel now that they look quite solidified in defence?
No.
Fair enough. No, I like that.
the one problem I have with that defense, they haven't faced a Mo Salah, a Sadio Mane, and a Diogo Jota caliber kind of player. I get it. They played well against the lower teams, but this is a proper test for them.
The one games they had to win, and that's fair enough, mate, because we haven't been doing that recently.
Exactly.
Exactly.
But the main thing I'll say about this game is, if they sit back and let us attack, they'll get slapped.
Yeah,
they will get slapped. But if they come out and start playing proper football,
as you said, mate,
they'll have a chance.
If they push people forward, obviously you have to be brave. Like you could still score. But I think you're so right, Ram, when you said people have got a better chance doing that because we're not guaranteed to finish our chances. So you've always got a chance. So we'll see.
Just don't. I feel everyone's been saying, "Oh, but Chelsea sat back against us and we didn't break them down." Yeah, we were poor that game. The entire game we were poor. But people forget the first half we were peppering them with shots. Like we had so many opportunities.
And Chelsea's sitting back slightly different, isn't it? Because they've got a great defensive team, and it's like I agree, Ram. I do think there's certain clubs who maybe got the ability to do that well. But if you're at Arsenal, it's going to be interesting. It's going to be interesting. Ram, do you think they'll play it from the back? Sorry, Steve, what you were saying?
Oh no, I was just going to say, I just think it's going to be one of those, like literally, it's going to be one of those. We have about 25 shots on goal, and they have about 3. I'm not saying that's going to suggest what the scoreline is, but I cannot see them even trying to come at us today.
2-0 Arsenal. The way it's been going, mate. 2-0 Arsenal. Joking. But on this, oh boy, not him. Great comment. If they play the ball over the top, they have a chance. And I think as well, not like a long ball, but like a long pass. That's what Brighton done. Like Sanchez would look for the wide areas, like to Cucurella and stuff. Do you think, Ram, do you think they'll play it from the back, like to the centre backs, or do you think they'll look to do what Brighton done? Because I think Brighton were very, very smart against us, especially stuck with that tactic, and it seemed to work because Cucurella had the space at Anfield at times.
They can try. Will it work? I don't think it will work. I think they'll get if they try and play out from the back and play cutesy kind of football, they're gonna get pressed until no tomorrow. The main opportunity of getting attacks is down that left hand side or right hand side where they could spray it over the top. That's why this might be a little bit of a curveball of a shot. I would start Joe Gomez this game.
Really?
Because of his pace and his physicality. Because he can match the likes of Aubameyang, Saka with his.
Do you think he might go for Konate then, Ram?
I was just
maybe either him or Konate, because they're both rapid and they're both very dominant.
Just is something else, isn't he?
I know, but he's still got little lapses, mate. Against Brighton, it just shows you it doesn't matter how good the athlete, you need to have that defensive brain. He's been very good, but he's not the full package yet, Finn. I think he will be in a couple of years, mate, 100%.
I think he's very neck and neck with Joe Gomez's ability, though. And there's a few years between them.
I'd say Joe Gomez is probably better on the ball, but that's maybe because of the games he's had. But people might disagree with that.
You can tell he's still learning his trade as a defender. Like there's so many times where every time we see a young defender, they try and get the ball as soon as possible. Like they push out of their position and go to the halfway line, and then they get out of position. Then they have to run back.
This is what I don't want to see. If we hit any point of adversity during the game, I don't want to see Trent in the number 10, exposing the right back, and then they'll just play that to Pepe or whoever they can get down the wide.
And probably Smith Rowe at that side,
Smith Rowe. Yeah. So it's just like if we are up against it and they take an early lead by just chomping at the bit and going for it, it could be a techie result for us, but. I don't think they're going to handle our high-tempo passing in between the lines. I think Ben White's great because he can obviously double up as a kind of DM, and he's got that experience in the Premier League.
He's very good on the ball. He does give them a different dimension with that, Finn. He is good on the ball.
But we can cut them into pieces with our passing, especially the way that Jota links up as that central piece. He's amazing at giving them kind of give and goes.
His movement as well. He kind of takes people like I think you got Tommy Asu, who's been very, very good for Arsenal, but Jota's quite good at taking defenders into spaces for Salah and Mane.
Just get Minamino to just warm up all game down the same side as Tommy Asu and shit talk him. Do you know what I
mean? Would you start Divock Origi?
Ooh,
not for me, just because I think it'll be those front three, and I think Origi will probably play against Porto next week.
It's a.
Oh yeah,
It's
I
kind of a
forget
big
about
deal as
Porto.
well. The points.
Yeah.
The points tonight are quite a big deal.
But
Don't get me
one
wrong,
thing,
Origi's done well. He has done well.
one
He
thing's
has
for
done
sure, I
well.
think Divock Origi deserves a chance, man, because
He
he's
does.
proved it. He deserves that. I think last season I understand because he had his opportunities and he didn't take it, but this time he's taken it and he started to perform well. And I want him to get more game time. I want him to, because in that AFCON break, I don't know who
Get
we
him
can
up to
rely on.
speed. Get him up to speed.
Yeah,
Give him a bit
absolutely.
of momentum.
Yeah.
Mm.
No, there was some finish against West Ham, and you know, fair enough. Like, he doesn't get much opportunity, so you've got to give it to him. So listen, guys, I know we're quite close to the 3 o'clock kickoff. So overall, are you buzzing? You nervous? You think we'll get it over the line? Finn, what do you think the score will be, mate?
Whoa, I like to see another 5-1. I'd love to see another
No,
5-1.
5-0, clean sheet.
Oh well, you know what my thoughts on Alisson are. I'm going for a
Yeah.
5-1. Let's go 5-1. I'm saying it with chest. Let's manifest it. Let's manifest.
And Finn would still say, I can't believe he's made that mistake when we concede. Honestly. Saif, what do you think, mate? What's the score going to be, mate?
I'm going to go for a 3-1. I know Alisson's
Yes,
going to be trying to get another clean sheet after his performance in the last game, but I do think Arsenal. You know what it is, after what Finn said, I think Arsenal are going to come at us right at the beginning. They might get an early goal, but that's going to be the start.
They always do get a chance at Anfield, the way the last two games were 3-1. They always seem to get a chance.
I feel like they always step up a little bit when they play against us. I think most teams do, but in particular, Arsenal I don't know. I feel like they've got something to prove with us, and they will go for like an early little attack and whatnot. And if they do get a goal against us, they're going to sit back and they're just going to open up the game for us, and we're just going to push them. Either way, we're going to win 3-1.
Yeah, I think good luck to Stevie was oh boy not him's comment. We all agree with that. And Ram, what do you think the Liverpool Arsenal game? Not Liverpool Newcastle. Is Saif was having me believe earlier.
I think it's going to be a 3-1. I agree with Saif. One thing's for sure. I think Alisson's going to be pivotal this game. I think the goal we're going to concede is going to be like him pulling off a double save, but then they get a rebound. And then after that, we'll just score 2 goals, and then they'll have their chances, but we'll get them on the counter and finish off the game. So yeah, 3-1. One thing's for sure. I think Arsenal are going to be competitive. This is going to be the first time in a long time we'll see Arsenal compete.
I agree. I think they'll be competitive. I think we have to be patient at moments in this game as well, because I think they have improved defensively. So I'd say 3-1 as well, guys. But listen, I won't hold you up. I'll let you get.
We're not without our injuries as well, are we?
No, I know. We can go more on that if we had a full show on it. But it'll be interesting to see who starts, Hendo or Ox in midfield. But listen, we'll find out if Hendo's fit enough, he'll play. But anyway, guys, thanks for your time. I'll let you get a cup of tea, get prepped for it. All the guys' socials are there. You know it. Anything else you want to add before we go?
Liverpool, please sign Frankie de Jong.
Fair enough. And then this is Callum's rebuttal. I'll talk to you when PSG sign on for 75 mil. So that's what Callum said to him straight away. Saif, anything you want to add, mate?
No, all good, man. Let's go. Come on, Liverpool.
Come on, let's get it. And Finn.
Cheers for having us on again. Let's do this again sometime soon. And until then.
See you guys. Great chat, guys. Thanks very much for that. And we'll catch you soon. Everyone take care. And yeah, we'll get a show next week. All right, guys, take care. Speak soon.